Manipur continues to be on edge, and the situation in the state is now before the Supreme Court. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Our relentless focus on the state of Manipur continues, where there continues to be a deep division within the state. You have villagers of the Kuki and the Meitei community patrolling their villages, many of them armed. In fact, estimates suggest that 4,000 weapons are in circulation. Many of them are high caliber weapons. At this time, the Chief Justice has asked for a status report as to what is happening on the ground in Manipur, especially when it comes to sexual violence against women. The police has seen a loss of credibility, and the army is quite literally the glue that is holding the state together. There are many groups that are demanding president's rule, and army officials are expressing their own concern at having to operate across the state without the legal cover of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act in several areas. In fact, it is the army that is playing the role that a civil administration should have played of facilitating a dialogue between both communities. On the program today, I want to welcome as our guest for his perspective a military veteran, somebody who has fought and served India in the Kargil war, and somebody who is here to share a soldier's perspective. I want to welcome to the program Colonel Manongba. He is, of course, somebody who is, as I said, a military veteran. Colonel, it's good to see you. And I want to start by asking you, you are, of course, from Manipur, and your heart must be broken at what you're seeing happen in your state.
Good evening, Barkha, and good evening to all our audience. I would like to thank you for inviting me to the talk show. Firstly, whatever has happened after 3rd of May 2023 is the most uh, painful event that has occurred in our lifetime. I have already crossed 60 plus, and in this lifetime, I have seen various difficulties, problems, difficult areas, and difficult operations. But fighting between the communities, fighting within the brethren of the same place, same society. This is the first time I have gone seeing it, feeling it personally right now, and then I feel so bad, so pained, and so anguished. So I sincerely hope and pray that things will improve, things will get control, violence will stop, and we start resuming activities so that we can return to normalcy as soon as possible.
Colonel, you have seen war, you have fought in Kargil, you have seen conflict. Is what's happening in Manipur more difficult than actually fighting an external enemy?
Yes, I will. I will say that. I will say that. I will put it across there. As a soldier, we are trained to fight the enemy. We are, our expertise in killing the enemy or defeating the enemy in the best possible manner and the most precise manner. Uh, but when you encounter such kind of pain here in the clashes in the between the ethnicity, who are our own brothers and who are on our own people, that becomes one of the most challenging and most difficult the problems that you face in the entire career or in the life.
So we had an unprecedented situation of an army officer breaking down in tears, Colonel Sapam, whom you also know, he's a friend of yours also. And he was so shaken by what he saw. And he said that, he had just heard about the death of a little child and he was very shaken. He wanted the Prime Minister to speak. What will provide even the beginning of a healing touch at this point, Colonel Manongba?
What I will see, I in fact I am in touch with the Colonel Sapam. He is one of our colleagues in Manipur. He has been a part of our association, and we are in touch with him. When I saw that video uploaded for Colonel Sapam in tears, even I had my tears to shed here and far away from home. Luckily, I'm away from there, or fortunately, I'm away from home, and then I'm unable to get into the internet, in spite of all the blockades there. And we, in our own way, we prayed and we cried, and that is the most painful thing. And for everybody, for the entire state, for the entire people there, it's 30 lakhs plus minus. And the way forward are there, which we have to take forward. The first and foremost thing is to stop the violence that is occurring off and on. The violence has to be controlled at whatever cost it may be, whatever measures it has to take. The violence has to be controlled first. That is my first thing that is what to take place.
Let me ask you this. At a time, when there is a division between two communities, we need people who can actually transcend these divisions. Every other unit of government is split along ethnic lines. Now, you are from the Meitei community, but being a soldier, you have been trained, you have been, taught to be loyal to your uniform, to your paltan, to your nation. But somewhere, how do you as a soldier address this division? Do you speak here today as an Indian soldier, or first as a member of the Meitei community? How do you reconcile those identity questions?
How I view the entire event, unfortunate event, is that first I view it as an Indian, as an Indian. Second, I view it as a soldier. Thirdly, I view it as a citizen and a Meitei or the people from Manipur. I have my own thought process as a Meitei. I have my different thought process as a soldier and as a Indian. So these are three perspectives that is there, which one has to deal in separate domain.
In fact, whether it's Meitei or Kukis, patriots, Indian citizens are suffering. The husband of one of the women in the viral video is an army veteran. He served in the army for 28 years. Then there is a footballer who has played for India. He's from the Meitei community. His house was burned. So people are suffering in both communities, Colonel. Now, my question to you is: there are 4,000 weapons in circulation, right? How do we begin disarming civilians?
Uh, Barkha, it's a very difficult and challenging a task that is to be accomplished. However, it is not impossible. I said, however, it is not impossible to retrieve or collect the weapons back, because I feel to my mind that the weapons were taken away as a measure of desperation and kind of a retaliation to something that was unfortunate that has happened. And it was mostly based on the 3rd of May. There are various viral videos, after which the Meiteis in the valley reacted very violently without realizing the actual thing. And then the next thing that they did was to take away the weapon. So I'm sure that if we appeal to the good sense of the Meiteis who have taken the weapons, I'm sure they will they will listen to the region. However, I want to emphasize that there are, although the army may or armed forces or the security Assam Rifles may still deny that there are all the Sioux weapons or Sioux militant weapons are intact in the armories, in the containers. I still feel that there are very large number of weapons that have been brought in the last 15 years. 2008 it was signed, and then 2023 it has a long time during which the weapons and ammunition must have been brought in. I do not have evidence, even if somebody asks. However, it is known, it is well known that we have been passing through the National Highway 2 and the 39/2 for the past so many years. We know what all activities happen there. We know what all extortion takes place. So those activities are at the gunpoint. So the first thing is the simultaneous disarming of the extra loose weapons in the public domain, both in the Kuki side and then simultaneously the valley people, the arms which have been taken away. I'm sure that there can be a way to bring them back and
But
accounted for as
sir,
outcome.
yeah,
That is
that's a
the
very
first thing
important.
which will
Yes,
be the first step to controlling the violence.
that's a very important point. Simultaneously disarm both the civilians in the Kuki and Meitei communities. But we saw pictures today of Kuki women actually welcoming the army, but sitting in protest against the police. You see, this is a situation that has developed, that the faith is only in the military but not in the police. And they give warm welcome to the army, but they're protesting against the police. Even in rain, they're not moving from there. how does the army operate in a situation where it is the only institution that is trusted, and in many cases it is without the cover of AFSPA?
Uh, uh, it's like this: ASPA or no ASPA. If the army has been empowered to deal with the situation in the correct perspective, correct way, I'm sure that they will do it, and then they're still there because they're probably there's a slightly confusion in the sense that it is an IS duty, that is the internal security duty, which is an add to civil authority, which requires, in spite of ASPA being applicable in, say, let's say Technopol or More, the army or Assam Rifle cannot operate against their own community mob, which comes up, mob or the gathering, that the civilian gathering. Even whether you have even if you have say, let's say in some other country, if you have a place, you have a military rule. For example, in the neighboring country, they cannot just do a Tiananmen Square or something like that, or the 1988 the incident of Burmese NLD election clearing up by the Burmese
So
army.
you're basically
Now,
saying the army should not be involved in managing this internal situation.
let us empower the state police force. Unfortunately, it has been divided and it has been held at a very, very in a situation where they are having no power, no ability. Rather, I won't say power. They have all the power, but they are not being getting the
They've
ability
also
to.
been unfortunately accused of bias. That is the other problem.
Sorry,
They,
accused of.
the police has also been accused of bias. The army is trusted, but the police has been accused of bias.
Yeah, they've been accused of being biased, and I'm sure I think that is to some extent correct, because the state police force has been polarized on the ethnic line.
Yes.
However, the state police force, like the whichever is whichever police force are there in Churachandpur or Kangpokpi, they will definitely be comprise. They're still there. They will be comprising of the other people, other tribes, or cookies plus the Nagas, or which I'm sure they're acceptable to that. Now, why it was stopped yesterday in Technopol is basically this was, I think, they must have felt, the people must have felt that they are Meitei commando, police commandos, state armed police commandos coming
Yes.
in. That must have been one of the things to stop that. They don't want any of this Meitei whom they allege that
But I want to
they're
go back to what you said. You said the army can't do a Tiananmen Square. The army will never fire on unarmed civilians, right? It is
correct,
not going to
correct.
do that. So you're basically saying that this dependence on the army to manage what is not even an insurgency. This is a clash between two communities. You're saying it's wrong that the army has been put in this position and handed a responsibility that is, in the end, the responsibility of politicians and the civil administration.
Exactly. The army, in the first place, since it is not a counter-insurgency operation, the
Yes.
army has got very little to do. I mean, the army we are trained, or the army as a profession is trained as a last instrument of the state. They are supposed to use force, justifiably strong or less. That depends on the situation. However, in a situation like this, where the ethnic clashes are taking place, the army, what will it do? I mean, I'll just say, if I have been put in those places, I've also faced similar circumstances earlier. That if I am there as a commander and then faced with, say, 100 or 200 or 500 mob or the civilian, what do I do? That is the first question. And the second question will come is that in case of any violent, unfortunate violent incident that happens, then there are legal implications that the army has to face. That is why the army asks for ASPA as a legal protection for the future or any activity that they take.
Let me
However,
ask you this. You have served in Manipur as a soldier. You've served, of course, everywhere in India, but also in Manipur. How was that situation different from today?
uh, as I said, that was counter-insurgency operation. We were fighting armed secessionist people,
Yes.
whether it was in the northern sector or it was in the valley. we were mandated to fight, and if required, the death of an armed militant should we encounter face to face, or we are not able to nab him as far as possible. So that was purely against the armed rebels or people who were wanting the separation from the state. Here it is the two of our own people fighting. I mean, there is
That's
like in my neighbor, there are two people fighting, and then I'm standing at the side, unable to control it. That's the kind of thing that is happening.
Yes, that's a very important distinction that the army should not be in this position because this is not a counterinsurgency op. My last question to you, Colonel, is this. Some people have said president's rule is the solution. Some people have said a separate administration is the solution. What is the solution according to you?
Barkha, first thing is I would like to express the opinion on the demands that are being raised by various the Cookie brothers or this thing. The demands can be made. They can ask for the moon. Anybody can ask what they want. There is no problem. If a child today comes and says, "Papa, I want a Mercedes Benz," he can do that. But if I am not capable, or if I'm not, if he is not worth the Mercedes Benz now, I can't give him. So similarly, the Cookie brothers, in case they are demanding a separate entity separated from Manipur, that is, they can demand it, but they will not be able to get it. They will not be given. That is my very strong, clear-cut thing. I will read out my tweet, which I just shared with the people.
Please.
I said, any effort or demand by any non-state force or organization to slice away parts of Manipur, geographically or politically, has always been contested in the past also, and will always be fought back with the combined prowess, cerebral and somatic, by and for the peace-loving citizens of the state and for the integrity and security of the country. That's very straight. Whatever they want, they can demand, but if it is possible or not, I will be very clear in my candidate that they will not get a separate administration, separate union territory, or a separate state. However, they may be granted additional infrastructural developmental funds, or even to the extent I suggest the Hill Area Committee, which is already empowered with the development of the hill, that you ensure that the funds that are given to the Hill Area Committees through the state government are judiciously and adequately and properly utilized and not spent in Imphal town. I can tell you that 50% or more of it are spent in Imphal city by those people. It may be it's not an allegation to anybody, but in general, everybody knows that the Hill Area Committees in the past since 1972, they have been utilizing this amount to purchase land, property, and everything here in the thing. I have interacted with my villagers, village headmen when I was posted there earlier, and even now they come and meet me. They say, "किस लिए आए हो इम्फाल वाला हमारा जो शहर है उसको यहाँ पे लेन-देन करने के लिए आए." It's as simple as that. So if the Hill Area Committee utilizes it properly, they will have no scope of any.
Well, thank you, Colonel. I just want to say that we need many more people like you and others who are willing to speak, above their own ethnic identities. We need a process of, reconciliation, of dialogue. And I think we have to begin somewhere. Thank you so much, Colonel Manongba. Am I saying it correctly? I must pronounce it correctly. Please,
yeah, it's okay. Colonel Manongba.
Colonel Manongba. Yeah. I last remember meeting you in Kargil. You're a Kargil sort of war hero. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, I was there. Just we were just holed up in those underground, bunkers there with the
yes, sir.
That time.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
I remember
God
you
bless,
were very active. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Take care, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.